What's up everyone? My name's Andrew. Welcome back to Music Theory Logic. Today I was going to show you how to make some pretty simple sort of like effects or sound effects that you can use in your songs. Let's go ahead into Logic Pro. So here we are in pretty much the most basic session possible. I hit create a new session. I started the classic piano and then I wrote a chord progression in the key of D minor. Just for those of you that are interested in some music theory, D minor is the same key, or it has the same notes as F major. That means it has one black key. That black key is B flat. This chord progression is going D minor, G minor, B flat major to A minor. So this is a natural minor. Let's just hear this. Nothing fancy. This is the default instrument, but this is what that sounds like. Cool. So first of all, let's find a little bit more of an interesting sound. So if you're really new to Logic, when you're selected on this instrument, you could hit this file drawer looking thing that is your library. That's going to give you all these default sounds in Logic. The fine people at Apple have organized this pretty well for us. Like for instance, I could go to a synthesizer. I could hit pluck, and then I could get, like hybrid attacker. That sounds like this. Nice. Let's duplicate that. That command is Command D or Apple D, depending upon the keyboard you have. Then if I hold Option down, that's going to copy that down. Perfect. And then I can repeat and pick some different sounds. So again, we're going to make some effects. So let's just grab some interesting sounding stuff. A long trail on one of those. Let's go to a different pad. All right, cool. So that's just an example of how MIDI is pretty incredible at letting you make sounds. So let's take our pluck sound. I'm going to make a cool uplifter out of this D minor chord. So I'm going to first of all shorten the MIDI. I'm going to separate it out. I'll move it over here. That's just what it sounds like on its own. Let's look at the channel strip. Now there's already some stuff going on here. So that I could like start over, I'm going to bounce that in place. That is Command, or it is Control B. Let's see why is my key command not working? Oh, that's because Logic doesn't like this sort of bounce in place. So I could go down here. And then I think it'll let me bounce that in place. Yeah, it will. All right, cool. So then I'm going to take this channel down here. All right, so that's that hit on its own. Now, you could imagine if I reverse that already, it's definitely going to sound like an uplifter because you could imagine this going backwards. But let's add to the trail a little bit. Let's put a little bit of tape delay on this. Let's go with quarter notes. That'll work. Cool. I want a longer trail. Then I'm going to do a reverb after that. Let's go with our silver verb. And just find some sort of ambiance. Let's see what that sounds like. Let's give it more wet. Cool. So if I take that, again, the key command is Control B for bounce in place. That's going to take that and turn it into audio. One interesting thing in there is that it'll give you the trails. So now we see that sound. Now, one thing I could do is I could compress it, but before I do that, I'm going to reverse it. So in order to reverse audio in Logic, you first need to have your advanced functions enabled. you could go see my original video, but if you go to like general, advanced, you want to make sure all of these are enabled. That's going to allow you to do what's called destructive editing. It's actually going to change this actual audio file, so make sure you know that before you do destructive edits. Cool, so if you double click on that and are on File, you go to Function, Reverse. That's going to make that backwards. And now we have this D minor chord as a little bit of an uplifter. So a cool thing about that is since we're already using the same chords over here, let me get that one back to a long chord. We could put this as an introduction, so have everything else start after that. Let's hear that. Cool. Now for fun, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm chopping a piece of MIDI. I'm taking that instrument and bouncing it in place. I'm not going to even add any additional effects there. Let's see, if I just drag this out, notice it has a long trail. If I take that, File, Function, Reverse. File, Function, Reverse. That's how we do that. Then we could take this and layer it up with our former one. Now, with this, I could kind of like shorten that so we have a faster sort of uplifter. That's going to, let me put a fade on it. It's going to sound like this. Cool. So hopefully you found that helpful. That's a really, really simple effect that you can make. Now, you can also do the opposite of a section. So I could take that and have the full delay that we've got, and perhaps instead of taking it and reversing it, we just put it right at the end so that it's a cool little outro. Now I can slow that down. Now we have this. Let me get rid of that long pad with some automation. All right, cool. Can make that slow down, not as crazy. Cool, a little trail. Now, if I wanted to, I could get rid of this fade. I could then put some more delay on it. Let's use an echo. That's pretty cool. Pretty simple looking one. We could do like a dotted quarter note echo. We want a lot of wet, not as much dry. We want a lot of repeats. Pretty simple. Nice. Now I could bounce that in place so that we have the actual echoes, and then I could say fade this, or I could do that slow down effect. Probably want it to fade. Cool, so all together we have this. Cool. So if you've already been working in Logic Pro for a long time, probably didn't find that super helpful. Hopefully, even if you have been in Logic for a long time, maybe you are using samples for your effects and you're not making your own. So I encourage you to try that kind of effect where you take an element, add some delay to it, print it, use that reverse as an uplifter. You'll find, since we already have that other instrument in the song, that it's going to naturally fit in the song versus going through a sample folder of effects and trying to find one that fits in your song, it can be a lot easier to just build one. So if you found this helpful, you'd help me out by subscribing to the channel. And if you do, I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.